Tarot friends, this is Ultraviolet Morgan, and I'm back for days 2 and 3 of Ethany's 31 days of tarot challenge / tag for 2019. Now the reason I'm combining day 2 and 3 is because day 2 is top 5 tarot decks of 2018 that you purchased or that were released. You can do it either way. And day 3 is top 5 decks of top 5 Oracle decks of 2018. So in 2018, I purchased exactly 5 decks, and they were both tarot and Oracle decks, obviously. So since I only have 5 decks, or had in 2018, those are the ones I'm going to discuss them all in the same video. So, top 5 tarot decks were the tarot decks that I got. I had 3 tarot decks previously, plus an Egyptian tarot deck, which was the first deck I ever got, but didn't really study it as much. That one mostly has lost pieces, but I did find some of it recently. And I had a Waite, which I don't really remember buying, but I remember purchasing the other 3, and I had moved a lot in the last 10 years, and hadn't really had my own place. So I searched and searched and searched for my decks and could not find them. So I finally went online and bought some new decks. So for tarot decks, I got the Wild Unknown. How pleasant. Everyone's favorite card. I was searching for decks, and I really liked the Wild Unknown. And I was looking on Amazon, it actually said top seller, and it almost kept me from buying it because I didn't necessarily want the deck that everyone had, and I had no idea that the Wild Unknown was like this huge phenomenon. At this time, I wasn't really watching. I don't even think I was watching YouTube videos about tarot yet. I might have been starting to watch some crystal videos, but I didn't know much about the decks. I think I was researching decks through Eclectic Tarot and doing tarot learning through some websites. So I almost didn't actually order this deck, but I'm really glad that I did. And I found that for me, I was able to read it, a lot of it, pretty intuitively. And I feel like this is a good inner work deck, which is a lot of what I did with it when I got it. I feel like the Wild Unknown, I feel like it's shamanic in a way, and inner, like the Wild Unknown is this sort of forest, which is a metaphor for your own internal landscape. I don't know, that's just how I felt about it ever since I got it. Oh, I love that Empress card. this card. Ten of Pentacles. I remember drawing this and just having no clue. That one I definitely could not intuit. Could not get that intuitively. But most of the cards, that was one of my real tricky cards. I adore this Chariot. That is just a magical card. Also, I saw that an earlier version of this that didn't have any color, and I'm really glad that I got the version with the color added, because I felt like the color helps me to understand the cards so well, because the color, I thought of the color as energy, and for the most part, where the color was where the energy was focused, or where the energy was going. This one doesn't really have or need color. I kind of lost what I was saying. Another horsey. Sad horse. About this deck. This one's very beautiful. This came with a book, which I swear I just had with my things and now I can't find. So if I can find it, then I will bring it out for another challenge video if these cards come up. I have a love-hate relationship with the book. A lot of people say they don't like it. I thought I loved it at first. Then I felt like it was a little too nice washed, I guess. And then I went back to liking it. I think it's actually pretty good for meditation, and so-so for interpretation. But I prefer to do my own work on the cards more so than rely on the book anyway, so I guess it works pretty well for me. And I guess the first few editions didn't even have a book, so I can't figure out where my book is. These are beautiful, okay? Like I said, I had no idea that they had just taken the tarot world by storm, and I almost didn't get them because, as I said, I didn't want to have a deck that everyone had. But everyone bought this deck, and then a whole bunch of people said it doesn't work for me and got rid of it. Or so I've seen a lot of those. So, I don't have to go through every... Oh, that's stunning. Also, I am from northern Michigan, so the forestry image is mostly stuff that's very familiar to me and definitely just feels right up my alley. As an aside, the High Priestess card to me, and the Strength card. Okay, so I really picture these as being in the northern woods, and we don't have tigers and lions. But as this is the High Priestess, the feeling that I get is that the High Priestess isn't physically there, but has sort of astrally projected herself there. And I think of these cards as sort of like a vision quest also, so it's like a mixture of sort of a real and not real place. And then the Strength card also has come to you for, to give a message. There's something like how this card is like a vision, and I don't know if she thought of it that way, but it works well. It works well. Oh, I love that. Temperance. I should probably move on because this is not the only deck. So, the other deck that I got, was the Hanson Roberts Tarot. And this comes with a little guidebook that also, it looks like a pretty decently sized, although you can see that it's a small book. The cards are taller than the book. But really, there's not a lot of information. There's just kind of enough to get you started, which, as I said, is really kind of all I need. Some spreads, a picture of some of the pages show a full picture illustration, full page illustration of the card in a borderless way. Those are kind of pretty. While others actually just show a smaller picture of the card, including the card back even. So this is a decent book. It works out. They explain the suits, the overarching energy of the suits. I don't like it when they skip that, if they do sometimes. Oh, these are very thick. They feel wonderful. They're not at all glossy. They're very nice and thick. Wonderful cardstock, wonderful size. These are very thin. I don't love how thin they are. I would have said they're playing card size, but since I actually have some playing cards, they are slightly taller than a playing card with the width of a playing card. So they're pretty easy to shuffle. Now I'm moving the phone around a lot. Except that they will ruffle shuffle. But they also bend easily. I've got bends. I got right away. I had some sort of bends in some of my corners almost immediately. So I don't love the card stack. But I do really like the cards. It's Waite Smith inspired. Nothing off the beaten path. The lovers. All the traditional elements. You've got the lovers. You've got the angel. The high priestess. The cards are beautiful. The colors are beautiful. They may seem a little bit cartoony. To me, some of the cards, this reminds me of Alan Rickman. A lot of the people on the cards remind me of specific actors. And then there are also cards, okay, I love this. This reminds me of Patricia Arquette. Okay, her face. Oh, she has darker hair. No, Rosanna Arquette. This kind of reminds me of Cher, even though it doesn't really look like Cher. It just has a totally, 70s Cher energy to me. And I love this card. I love that rabbit. Okay. So I ordered these cards, and I was very thrilled with all of them. This guy reminds me of the guy who sells cabbages on the Avatar cartoon. So a lot of the cards kind of have, to me, there's one that reminds me of the Dungeon Master from the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoons. Some of them remind me a little bit of, this actually reminds me of a person that I know. Some of them remind me sort of hobbits in a way. A little bit like maybe kind of a hobbity. Talk about that in a minute. So I remember I had sort of nicknamed it, I might have nicknamed it my Hobbit deck, and it almost seems in some ways a little bit like it might be a little bit childish, but I found that it reads really well. Okay, there's the Dungeon Master. There's the Dungeon Master from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. This knight reminds me of my mother. I see my mother in a lot of tarot decks, a lot of cards. This reminds me of a cousin of mine. So much. No, a niece. My niece, I should say. My sister, stepsister's daughter. I like that one. Too, that's very pretty. The Devil card, I hated this one so much because I don't really care for that just ugly devil. I feel like the devil represents in a lot of ways temptation and seduction and addiction and bondage often, but I feel like the devil has more of a seductive quality than a monstrous quality, but there are a lot of decks that portray him in a monstrous way. This card probably freaked me out a little bit too, but I guess I got used to it. Very standard. Gives me a little bit of the Hobbity feel. Sorry, I'm flipping through a little bit quickly because I do want to discuss, again, Hobbit. They just look like hobbits to me, which I'm a very short person and I love hobbits, so it works. This guy reminds me of like Julius Caesar, and he's the emperor, and I feel like his head looks like a cabbage. Cabbage head. Strength card. Now, where are the cards when you want them? The Tower, Judgment, mysterious guy, the serious Hierophant, the Hermit. I love the Hermit card. The stars, very beautiful. One thing about a deck is, okay, the stars in the water. Some decks, the star and the Temperance card can look very similar, and I don't like that. They have to be able to look at it without reading it and know which is which. Like, I can tell that's the star because the star's very prominent. Death, the Magician. This guy kills me. He looks like this open shirt. It reminds me of Staying Alive. Yeah, John Travolta. Or also John Bon Jovi with the hair. I don't know. That one's a little cheesy, but I'm used to it now. I'm used to it. The world. These are so flimsy. The Fool looks very young. And there's a court card that looks very similar to the Fool. It's very dramatic. That guy looks sort of familiar, but I couldn't say who. Where are they? Are they at the bottom of the deck? Okay, this guy looks just like Aidan Quinn. It reminds me of Aidan Quinn from Practical Magic. When she says she wants a boy who can ride a pony backwards. And that doesn't remind me of a specific person. This one I get strong feelings from. Sometimes I can almost I can hear, like, almost hear the thunder. That was, like, probably the first card out of this deck, or of recent times, that I actually felt like I was scrying the card. This one reminds me of Lady Gaga, just in her face. And this one reminds me of Liam Neeson. I don't know when this deck was made, if these people were even famous, so I have no idea if there was any intention. I am such a slob with my cards. Also, I don't like the Lover's card in this deck. I'm either the Queen of Cups or the Page of Cups. I guess that's all the famous people. I do have a couple of cards out because I've got things going on with my cards. I have in progress all over the place with things. So those two were my only tarot decks of last year. And then I ordered 3 oracle decks, which I also just extremely loved. I was very, very satisfied with my purchases last year. This is 22 minutes, so I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So the first one I'll show you is the Divine Feminine Oracle. Comes with a guidebook. I've got a place marked. It shows the goddess or heroine, and then has a couple of pages, who she is, and when your soul selects her card, soul voice meditation and intention, which the intention will be on the card. These are thick, they're big, they're beautiful, and I love everything about them. Kali, the mother of the universe. I release all that doesn't serve me. It is time to be the truth of who I am. And her face very much reminds me of a woman on a TV show that I watch. I won't specify. She's not really famous that well. She was on Dancing with the Stars. So this is the back. It's so beautiful. Very wonderful, feminine Vesica Pisces. I don't know how you pronounce that. Symbol. It shows various women, goddesses, saints. Some of these patroness of miraculous healing. Some of these are in different places in my house. I've got a couple in my kitchen. Oh. Keeps going in and out. Oh. Amazing. She might remind me a little bit of ScarJo. She's very beautiful. Black Madonna. Oh. Akilanda, the goddess of never not broken. Everything happens for my liberation. I choose to become only more love. I felt like when I got this deck that it was very nurturing and motherly, Kuan Yin. And I felt that way about this next deck I'm going to show you. If I ever can stop showing you these amazing Divine Feminine cards, and they feel so creamy and beautiful. I love this. Rita of Cassia, Patroness of Impossible Causes. So a few days after seeing this, she showed up on a TV show where someone said, who's this patron saint of impossible causes? And this was the answer. And I knew the answer because of this card. Pope Joan. These are just, I just love these. I can't even pronounce that. Shekina. Oh, some of them are sticking. Lakshmi. And these are from mythologies and history from all over. A white buffalo calf woman. I'm kind of looking for something specific. Lilith has not turned up for me. I forgot she was there. Oh, gorgeous, though. Oh, my goodness. Gorgeous. Amazing. Freya. Dakini. Isis is incredible. I adore Isis. Always have. Green Tara or Tara. Ariadne. Like I said, I'm looking for a specific. Anadamayama, or however you say that. She looks to me, she reminds me of the actress from Twilight. I can't think of her name. Kristen Stewart. Okay, well, somewhere in here is, I thought there was a Joan of Arc card. Moving on. The Work Your Light Oracle cards. And the artist of these is the same person who does a couple of really popular tarot decks. Tarot of the Moonchild, I think. I'm not sure. So, these cards are divided into different types of cards. They call them suits, but you don't read them in any way like a suit in tarot. So they're just kind of, they contain different types of information depending on the suit. These are just amazing, fantastic. And also, they feel great. They're thick, they're large, and they have that gentle, loving energy. And nurturing energy. Fill up your well. Woman warrior. If you weren't afraid, what would you do? Love that card. Love it. You're already doing it. Keep facing your true north. Lemuria. Here's a beautiful, beautiful one. Transformation. Deep healing. Stunning. Boundaries. Boundaries. That card makes me feel some kind of way because you can really feel the encroachment on that. Everybody grabbing it. Her dance. Starseed. These are just say yes. Pillar of light. Keepers of the earth. There's a lot of these too. Okay. Unbound. That's really, really breathtaking. Okay, Mintonkin. I had to learn about these things. Mintonkin. Lightworkers. Okay, Awakening. So, yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful deck. And then here's my kind of little oddball deck, the Mystic Mudra Tarot for the Soul. And this is not a tarot deck by any means. I'm gonna use both my hands. And I knew that when I ordered it. I wasn't disappointed or anything. And but however, when I ordered it, I did not know what a mudra was, and I think it has to do. It's your hand, like when you do yoga, hand signs that you make or formations. So these cards are tall and skinny. Okay, tall, skinny cards. Not really reversible, but I don't consider. I think reversals for oracle cards are weird. They just don't make sense to me at all. So each one will show a pose, and it'll tell you the staff pose, and then it has an affirmation. Through my struggles, I see the world changing and reshaping itself to a form of my choosing. Funny, I should pick this one because this is one of my main affirmations from this deck. And then up here, this is a symbol for a chakra. And then if you look in the guidebook, it will tell you for each one the pose, and it will tell you a mythical story that represents the message of the card. And I feel like so much research went into this deck. It was not expensive. I felt like it should be like $100 because it was so well researched, so much in it. And then it talks about the benefits of that pose and which chakra or chakra it activates and balances. And then you go to the back, and there's a section on the chakras. Sorry. Nope, still poses. Oh, that's the glossary, went too far. So it shows the chakra. It shows the color for the chakra, the information about it, how signs of imbalance, what organs it affects, foods that are associated with it, herbs, gems, and crystals that are associated with it, aromatherapy, and then a mudra. So the mudra is really in the book. And then the sound associated with it. There's so much in this. There's so much in this. And I really don't use the majority of it. I do look at the pictures. I really don't do the poses, although I could. And someday I might, because there's just so much you can do with these. I mainly use them for the affirmation. I mainly will draw between 1 and 3 with other cards and kind of see how they read together. I sometimes will draw to find it, to focus on a specific chakra. Like I said, the backs are stunningly beautiful. I love anything with like just this glowing light. And then there's these designs around here. Honestly, I kind of wish these were bigger cards because the artwork is a little bit difficult to make out. I hear and speak the Guru's truth, and this way I'm enlightened. 3-limb forward bend, I am a blessing to the world. These are very positive, uplifting. My mind is clear, I speak my truth with confidence and ease. And so that has a purple chakra. Some of them are associated with more than one, but they'll only show one up here. This one may also be associated with the blue throat chakra, since it's talking about speaking your truth. There's a blue one. I speak my truth and the universe supports me. So these are really... I just went online and found the ones that I liked, that appealed to me, that were affordable to me, that I felt were a little bit different from each other, because I didn't, obviously I didn't want all of the same thing, because why? And they're all different in their ways, but they all were just very positive and affirming, and pretty much what I needed at the time that I got them. So that worked out pretty much perfectly. And then, even though, as I said, they're extremely nurturing and gentle, quite honestly, they did have some harsher messages for me. And it was a difficult time in my life when I received these cards. And one of the first draws that I did, here's a nice one. The crumbling. What do you cling to? One of my very first draws that I remember doing pretty clearly said to me, you need to start working on doing some shadow work, and you need to start dealing with your emotions, which I in no way wanted to do. But I knew that it was going to be necessary. So even though these, here it is, there it is, the ever unfolding rose cracked open, it's happening for you, not to you. Yeah. That one just hit me right between the eyes when I drew that, when I first got this. Yeah, so it's these are just very positive, affirming, love-centered decks, but they are not at all afraid to tell it like it is. And to tell you some hard truths. So, yeah, I felt like I connected right away with all these cards. I just was in love with every one of them. And I did a great job, or else I got really lucky picking out fantastic cards. I love them. I love them all. So those are my top 5 decks of 2018. And then just as an extra read all about it, I have a 6th deck that had been in storage that I found. I bought this when I was first learning tarot. This came as the Easy Tarot kit. I don't have the book anymore. But I found the deck, and I was so excited because I've got like 3 decks that I've been looking for forever. Cannot find them. And I found this one, so now there's only 2. And there was quite a little bit of damage to these sticking together. But they have been in storage for a long time. And you know, I'm not at all afraid to use them, even though there's little damage. They work just fine. And they are beautiful. This is the Gilded Tarot from the Easy Tarot kit. And so this was my bonus deck this year. Was finding my old deck from years and years ago. One of my decks that I learned on. So this is a 40-minute video, and this has been days 2 and 3 of Ethany's tarot, 31 days of tarot, and this is Ultraviolet Morgan saying goodbye until next time, tarot friends.